Does retatrutide burn fat? Retatrutide, if you look at this, this is a triple agonist, and it's one of the most hyped up molecules I've ever seen, and for good reason actually, because what we're going to deconstruct in this video is that retatrutide is different than semaglutide, different than tirzepatide. It's not just for weight loss. A lot of people just think, oh, retatrutide, it's the next big thing in weight loss and obesity, but actually it goes much, much deeper than that. And once you start understanding the physiology and the way that retatrutide works, I think you'll start to see this opportunity that we have once this peptide is on the market, which is very soon, maybe by mid-2026, you're going to uncover why it may be appropriate or not appropriate for you. Now, this is not medical advice. This is me sharing my experience on what I've learned in researching this peptide. But also, my goal is making these videos is to allow you to gain the clarity on what you can do to create leverage when it comes to your health trajectory. And I believe retatrutide is probably the most important molecule to date that we know of that will help accelerate your health span and your lifespans. I'm Regan Archibald, founder of Ageless Future. We help people identify through data where their interferences are in their health, where the deficiencies are, and then we use structured protocols and concierge longevity medicine to help you achieve greater health every year of your life. So you can go to agelessfuture.com, work with my team there. They'll help you get the health that you're looking for. So retatrutide, does it speed up metabolism or do you mostly eat less? In clinical trials, people lost up to 28% of their body weight in under a year. Here's one of the things, doctors also measure big drops in belly fat. Liver fat dropped even at the higher doses. And so today, let's go through the research and what it actually shows. So this is a triple agonist. So what that means is it's a GLP-1, it's a GIP, similar to tirzepatide, but it's got a very small pulse of the GLP-1 and a larger dose, 8 times greater in the GIP when compared milligram to milligram as tirzepatide, and then it's got glucagon. So this agonist ignition, this triple agonist ignition, it breaks down this big question, like, does it burn fat? Well, what sets it apart is those 3 molecules, the GLP-1, the GIP, and glucagon, all engaged at once. In a 2023 phase 2 trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine, they took 338 adults with obesity or overweight. They received weekly doses ranging from 1 to 12 milligrams for 48 weeks. The highest dose group saw a 24.2% mean weight reduction versus 2.1% in the placebo group. 83% of participants in the 12 milligram group lost at least 15% of their total body weight. MRI data showed visceral fat reductions approaching 48% in certain cohorts. Like, that is massive. And so I've provided the link below, and that was in 2023. Fast forward to December of 2025, where the Triumph 4 studies were published. They found that people lost 28.6% of their total body weight in 48 weeks. So even a more dramatic improvement, and they had a reduction in osteoarthritic pain. So mechanistically, the GLP-1 and GIP, they reduce appetite and stabilize that glucose. So that insulin resistance, it prohibits glucose from being taken into the cell. So then glucose gets stored as fat and you have this dysregulation in your blood sugar. While glucagon, what it does is it influences lipid metabolism and fat oxidation. That combination, it means that you're going to have less intake plus altered energy processing, meaning you're going to be burning more energy just by sitting, just by working. Your body's going to go back into your teenage mode where you get a metabolic reset. In the preclinical models, they showed greater fat mass reductions compared to semaglutide, suggesting that glucagon receptor activation may contribute beyond appetite suppression alone. This was published in a diabetes journal. In the comparative metabolic effects, you'll see fat metabolism shift when people say fat burning. Researchers look at the substrate utilization, whether the body shifts towards oxidating fatty acids or sugar. The glucagon receptor activation in liver models It's been linked to increased ketogenesis and thermogenesis. Now, my friend Rob Rogers, I hope you see this, his ketone labs, the real ketone labs, they create medical grade ketones. So using retatrutide with exogenous ketones can be very helpful for you. And this is highly published. If you go to journalsopphysiology.org, we'll provide that in the show notes below. In human phase 2 data, weight reductions range from roughly 17 to 24%, depending on the dose. The study reported this increase in nighttime energy expenditure with preservation of lean muscle mass. So I think that's really important when you're thinking about body composition changes. Retatrutide, it's beneficial because even if you have low blood sugar and if you tend to be hypoglycemic, taking something like semaglutide or tirzepatide could be detrimental to your health because your blood sugar will drop too low and you'll be tired all the time. What retatrutide does is it's got glucagon in there, and glucagon turns on blood sugar release from the liver because your liver is controlling blood sugar 90% of the time. And if your liver is healthy, now you're going to get the proper balance of your blood sugar. So you'll see your hemoglobin A1C come up to optimal range, which is about 5 to 5.3%. In another study, they looked at the liver fat content in patients with obesity, and they found that up to 82% of liver fat was improved on retatrutide. So this whole shift in the hepatic fat storage within the trial setting is not just scale changes, it's complete body makeover. Your liver is one of the most busy, demanding organs in your body, and you do want to protect it, and retatrutide does seem to have that propensity. So if you look at the data versus hype, placebo-adjusted reductions, 24 to now 28.6% at 48 weeks, that's substantial. Researchers, they propose that glucagon receptor activation adds this metabolic layer far beyond appetite suppression. But once again, this is a phase 2 data. It's peer-reviewed and controlled. Long-term durability, if you think of tirzepatide, it's been around for a few years longer. You think of semaglutide or Ozempic, it's been around even longer. We do know that retatrutide, there's some phenomenal benefits, but there's still so much more we have to learn. And so, does it burn fat? Well, yes, hopefully by now I've answered that question. And you'll see that even when they've measured the association with retatrutide versus fat reduction in the body, they've seen significant reductions in body weight, visceral fat specifically, and liver fat, along with measurable energy expenditure changes. That's what the data shows. What it doesn't show is decades of long-term outcome evidence. But what we are seeing is a life expectancy change. Eli Lilly is considering longevity as one of the benefits of retatrutide. When it's finally FDA approved, Eli Lilly is planning on retatrutide. They're looking to have it be approved for sleep apnea. Now, if you think of the foundational pillar of your health, sleep is the most important. Does retatrutide help with sleep? Well, here's the flip side. A lot of these GLP-1s, tirzepatide and retatrutide, they can decrease your heart rate variability and increase your resting metabolic rate. One of the reasons why it increases that resting metabolic rate is because now you've got the engine, that fat-burning engine that gets turned on. Tirzepatide will turn it on maybe 5 beats per minute on your heart rate, whereas retatrutide may be 7 to 10 beats per minute. But then over time, usually after the first month or two, your heart rate comes back down, and metabolically your body's used to being in this high charging, high burning mode. The thing that it does, retatrutide, is it disrupts the law of entropy. So the law of entropy, if you remember from physics, is when there's an object rolling down the hill, the velocity is increased until there's an equal or opposing force, and then it stops. That's what our metabolic system does. We run into these challenges with entropy. And so I'm excited about retatrutide because it's one of these peptides that can turn on that metabolic engine. It helps with your liver, great for the joints if you've got osteoarthritis, may help with sleep apnea, certainly changes body composition while protecting lean muscle mass. When looking at retatrutide versus tirzepatide, if you want to go deeper there, I've got a whole video on that I just recorded a few weeks ago, and I'd love to have you check it out. I'll provide a link in the show notes. I'm Regan Archibald. Appreciate you being on the channel.